ESPN's exclusive presentation of the McDonald's Boys High School All-American Game is brought to you by McDonald's and in part by new Roundup Pump and Go Sprayer. Hard on weeds, easy on you.
Welcome back to the Bradley Center. Bob Wischusen here with Tom Brennan, Doug Gottlieb, and Quint Kesnick, set for the McDonald's High School All-American Game. And one of the honorary presidents this year of the McDonald's game, Alonzo Mourning. And he actually took the place as honorary chairman from John Wooden, who is recovering from a fall back in California. Told that he is watching, and we obviously, Coach, wish you the best. And let's take a look at the underdogs lineup from the East. Tyreek Evans and Kemba Walker in the backcourt.
And Kemba Walker suddenly now becoming a very important part of UConn's future. Thought that he would compete with A.J. Price for minutes. Now with A.J. Price tearing his ACL, may well be the starter day one with the UConn Huskies next year.
And Brandon Jennings, if he wants to break the assist record, he's got a lot of good guys to throw it to. So I'm anxious to see how he comes off with his prediction.
B.J. Mullins gets the start at center at 7'1", 260 pounds. Set to jump center as this past year and through his college career went to Canal Winchester High School in Ohio, and he is going to play, as they said, for The Ohio State University. And we're set for action between the richest pool of talent in high school basketball here at the Bradley Center, and already they're looking to get the ball in the hands of Brandon Jennings.
Now, overall talent, I think the West is clearly better. However, with Tyreek Evans and Samardo Samuels, the two best individual scorers may be on the East teams. That's kind of the interesting matchup. Kemba Walker and Brandon Jennings have been going at it every day in practice.
Jennings lobs and the finish. There's one. B.J. Mullins. So there's Arizona to Ohio State. That didn't take long.
No, it did not. Get 40 at this pace.
Jennings, just a uniquely talented player, guys. Left-handed, can score like a Damon Stoudemire. Also has the ability to create. Was in the dunk contest the other night. What a talent.
And he told Bob that he's going to Arizona because that's where great point guards go.
Evans on the drive, stripped away, knocked out of bounds. Brandon Jennings said, I said to him, why are you going to Arizona? Why is it Lute Olson? And he said, Arizona is a point guard school.
He also told me that Jared Bayless told him this week he's coming back. Now, look, it's this week, but if Bayless comes back with Chase Budinger and a Hall of Fame coach, and by the way, Kevin O'Neal apparently met with Lute Olson today, and he may come back as well. Everybody, as of today, coming back to Tucson. We'll see.
Samardo Samuels with a dunk. Walker with a leave. And now Kemba Walker tries a three. In and out. The rebound put back by Tyler Zeller, as he'll be playing for Roy Williams next year.
And he is awful slight, but he has really got athletic ability. He runs as good as any big man I've ever seen. He just needs to get stronger. Case in point right there.
Takeaway, though, by Zeller. And it was knocked out of bounds by B.J. Mullins. So Tyler Zeller.
An interesting story there, Bobby. He scored 43 points in his championship game on Saturday night in Conseco Fieldhouse. Got here 3 o'clock in the morning and ready to be a McDonald's All-American.
Of course, his brother plays at Notre Dame. And part of 3 McDonald's All-American who are going to don the powder blue.
Samardo Samuels with a jump stop, hands it off to Zeller. Offensive rebound for the future Louisville star. He lost it, though, and here comes Jennings. Keep your eyes on the bottom of the screen as well, and we'll be able to show you where some of these stars are heading to college, and we'll certainly be keeping you up to date throughout the game tonight, where your favorite programs' future stars are heading.
And by the way, that was Compton to Compton, and as much as Brandon Jennings is a member of Oak Hill Academy the past 2 years, played his first 2 years of high school basketball. Compton Dominguez, DeMar DeRozan going to SC, played at Compton High School.
Jennings tried one feed. It was knocked down. The second effort sets up B.J. Mullins again. It's Arizona to Ohio State, and then there's North Carolina. At the other end, Zeller finishes quickly.
Anybody wish these guys would come out of their shell and really express their emotions early?
They've been on this side of half court 3 times. He's got 3 assists. That's pretty good. It ain't bragging if you can do it.
Well, the record's 12. He said, I think I'll try and break the record and get 20.
Yes, he did. Look at Dave Monroe, a long way away from the basket, but he shot it easily.
Yeah, don't worry, that'll end next year when he's at Georgetown.
A run out for Walker. Oh, showtime! Kemba Walker out of the Bronx, heading to UConn.
There's another point
future UCLA star baptized.
He drew time in his steps, but it wasn't enough.
I think Quinn Kesnick snuck into that East huddle before the game and said, you know, Gottlieb doesn't think you guys have a chance.
I don't think Quinn thought they had a chance.
Well, Kemba's a great story. He's a guy who really earned his way. You know, so many guys just have a name and they've been established for years in the AAU circuit. Didn't play much his sophomore year in high school because Rice just an amazing program, a basketball factory.
How about the ball fake by Jennings? Monroe, the weak side rebound, bowls his way to the bucket. And it's tipped out and ends up with Tyreek Evans, who again, the man with the basketball, undecided as to where he'll go to school. Still with Villanova, Memphis, and Texas on his list. I asked him today, as he scores, when are you going to make the decision? He said April 16th, when I have to. Jennings pass knocked away, and here comes Kemba Walker. Farouk Aminu can't get it to go. Walker with the stick back. Oh, good start for the future point guard for Jim Calhoun.
Both these point guards have been brilliant so far.
Well, it's this type of game point guards dream.
Yeah,
you know, you got guys that can finish, and you're always playing up tempo.
The up tempo sometimes results in a turnover and some showtime off the backboard and thrown down by DeMar DeRozan.
That's 4 dimes for our boy in less than 5 minutes.
A little Pac-10 hookup as well. Arizona to USC. Tyreek Evans rattles one home.
Evans, an exceptional scorer, especially out of that right hand.
That was deep.
Hanging and missing. Drew Holiday, who's going to UCLA, but it's the East. They've got the 7-point lead, although the West might be a hair ahead in terms of highlight moments. The throwdown, Jennings off the backboard, and the finish by DeRozan. It's the McDonald's High School All-American game here at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, and even more college basketball comes your way from ESPN2 and the MasterCard NIT with a pair of semifinal games Tuesday night as the Final Four will advance to Madison Square Garden. The MasterCard NIT semifinals on ESPN2 Tuesday night.
How about UCLA? How about UMass? Twice going into Syracuse.
Amazing. I mean, you can't win at Syracuse. They've done it twice.
All right, we're about to see Drew Holiday at the free throw line, guys. And UCLA, who continues to play and play well in the NCAA tournament. And what we've done is we've marked guys that are questionable as to whether they'll return next year for the Bruins, seeing as they're all underclassmen. And Drew Holiday, by my estimation, is the best player in the state of California. DeMar DeRozan, of course, Brandon Jennings, originally from California. He's a basketball coach's basketball player. He's a stud as far as a kid. The guy totally gets it in a LeBron James sort of way as far as helping his teammates. A tremendous passer. Probably a big-time long-range jump shot away from being an absolute one-and-done stud. Can play either position. I think he'll play the point for the Bruins.
The East in the red, the West in the white, and 5 new players on the floor for the East, muscling it up and in. JaMychal Green is heading to Alabama. He's a Montgomery native. Brandon Jennings looks to penetrate and backs it out. 5 new players set to check in. Next whistle for the West as well.
Speaking of one and done, Dougie, how many of these guys do you think that?
The alley-oop, there's assist number 5.
You know, so much of it depends on who comes back. This class is not nearly as loaded with the top-end, top-to-bottom talent as we saw last year with Derrick Rose and Kevin Love and Eric Gordon. Don't get me wrong, Brandon Jennings probably a one-and-done. Monroe's got a shot at that. DeMar DeRozan has a shot as well. But there aren't the dominance of an O.J. Mayo in a high school career is just not there. And Mullins has an opportunity. I mean, sometimes college basketball exposes your weakness. Perfect example is Costa Koufos.
Yeah.
You know, went to Ohio State and they thought he'd be a lottery pick.
How about the run by the East as Ed Davis finishes inside after Michael Rosario from his hindquarters at midcourt made a great hit ahead. A couple of quick buckets by the East All-Americans, and it's a 9-point lead.
Yeah, Coach Woody Jackson rushes out to greet his team as they come off the floor, and a bit of a surprise so far.
And what I'm saying is Costa Cooper is a perfect example of that, guys. As we see Rosario, a kid who's going to Rutgers, very talented, playing in a great high school basketball team, and then gets the nice cleanup job by Davis. And you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see who lives up to expectations next year and who is the Paul Harris of 2 years ago. Guys that go and think they're gonna go pro, and you end up having to stay a couple years. Kufa's probably that guy for Ohio State.
And I love Rosario. I love his carriage, as we talked about on Monday. The way he handles the ball, I think he's going to be a great leader for Rutgers right from the minute he shows up.
Ooh, way off the mark. A jumper from Larry Drew II, and it goes over to the East.
And by the way,
some medical attention being given on the West bench. This might be an all-star game. There's some elbows being thrown out there.
These kids are playing hard. I'm happy to see it.
It's Greg Monroe being tended to. I think JT3 is too happy to see his star over there with a bandage. There's an alley-oop finish. The throwdown by Scotty Hobson. He is also undecided from Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Yeah, kid originally committed to Mississippi State has reopened his recruitment. Tennessee in there, Louisville in there.
I have a scoop. Can I give it now, or you want me to tease it?
You can give it if there's any accuracy.
Hey, my man Rosario tells me that he's trying to get Michael Hobson to come, Scotty Hobson to come with him to Rutgers. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, I'm sure he's the only guy.
Freddie Hill, you'll find him in the weight room. He'll be in the weight room in September.
Rosario's shot blocked inside by Michael Dunnigan, who's heading to Oregon, and there's an offensive rebound. Ed Davis puts it up and in, and he'll be a Tar Heel next year.
No, he will, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Tyler Hansborough, with Stevenson, with Deion Thompson.
Luke Babbitt on the drive. Nice. The Chris Mullen look-alike with
another one of my favorites, boys. And I know he's a West Coast guy. He originally committed to Ohio State, instead decided to stay back home and play for Reno. Hobson, just a spectacular athlete from Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
And there he is again. That's Chris Singleton on the finish. And, you know, both of you, I know, talked about Luke Babbitt, who just missed that free throw, as being one of your favorites from watching the past couple of days in practice.
It's one of those, you know, the more you play basketball, the more it slows down. You know, you don't have to just blow by people. And Babbitt's one of these guys, when you watch his movements, when he's shooting around, you're like, is he slow? Then you realize he's going by guys. He's never rushed. He's silky smooth. He is absolutely a three-man with deep, deep range.
There he is on the move. Rejected inside, but draws the foul with 12:40 to go.
And you add his game to Mark Fox's bright young star in JaVale McGee. And what a twosome they're going to have with the Nevada Wolfpack next year.
Absolutely. A program that's really been on a rise.
Babbitt at the line, and once again we welcome you here to the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. The McDonald's High School All-American game. The best talent in America heading to college next season. Bob Wischusen with Doug Gottlieb and Tom Brennan. Quint Kesnick is with us as well. The West probably has the more loaded squad, but it's the East with a 7-point lead in the red.
And a lot of it has to do with offensive rebounding, going back and getting misses, and just kind of out-hustling the West right now.
Set to trigger in Michael Rosario. You see him in the top right corner of your screen wearing number 3, a Jersey City native. Out of St. Anthony's, played for the legendary high school coach Bob Hurley. The rebound follow inside, missed by Ed Davis, and then thrown down by Jamichael Green. But Rosario, at least in the Northeast, has made about as big a group of news as you could as a high school recruit simply by choosing Rutgers. That's not where McDonald's All-Americans normally go.
You're absolutely right. He's being compared to the running back, the Rutgers running back,
Ray Rice,
and who went down there and really helped that program get turned around. And when you're Freddie Hill and you get a Michael Rosario to help start your program, he has a couple good freshmen this year, but that's a big get because he's already recruited 2 other kids, 2 juniors to come with him. And as I said, Scotty Hobson on the radar.
I mean, you Jersey guys recruiting for other Jersey schools.
If that's 2 scoops come true, I'm going to start a service.
Chris Singleton with the finger roll, and the Seminole fans will enjoy seeing that next year in Tallahassee.
Actually, that was Hobson.
Well, check that out, pardon me. That was Hobson.
Yes, boy, this is really interesting. I thought this was not going to be anywhere this fluid. It's really wonderful. These kids are playing great. Look at this.
Warren
They have to actually stop somebody in order for it not to be fluid. You're like surprised they're scoring.
That ain't my area. You know, I'm not worried about that. Look at this.
Rosario with a beautiful fadeaway from the corner, and a timeout immediately called by Woody Jackson on the East bench.
And I think Rosario is one of these players that it's not just great that a McDonald's All-American goes to Rutgers, but he's probably a four-year guy because he's in between positions, and he's such a fine basketball player as far as his complete skill set. Here's a nice little step back, and righties will tell you it's much more difficult to shoot a step back going right than it is left. Nice little balance, a little push-off, yeah. Willie Warren.
We talked to him today, Bob. He talked about how it's so important to his mother, his grandmother, all his family to come and watch him play. Felt just a connection with Fred Hill. As soon as he got there on the first day, said it was never in doubt. Rutgers was the place, and I know the Rutgers people have to be thrilled about that.
And Rutgers, he said, was his first recruiting visit. And so I said, that's not normally where the Jersey players go. They don't normally stay home. And he said that he feels, growing up in Jersey City, that he owes a special loyalty to the state and wanted to build up the program. And I think you're right, Coach. I don't think for a second that it has at least something to do with what happened with Greg Schiano and Ray Rice in the football program. He wants to do that with the basketball program.
I agree. I think that's exactly what he wants to do.
A little easier to do that in the Big East Football Conference than it is the Big East Basketball Conference, boys.
The throwdown. Samardo Samuels, and he's on his way to Louisville to do that for Rick Pitino.
A nice pass from Tyreek Evans, a guy not known for passing the rock, and those could be two teammates next year.
Knocked out of bounds by Scotty Hobson. Well, the West might have a bit more talent, but it's the East on the offensive glass with the early lead. And here's Samardo Samuels with the finish.
Is that a thoroughbred? Is Georgetown going to be good?
Well, Alonzo Mourning, one of the alumni of the McDonald's All-American game, and he is playing a very special role now in this game this year and moving forward, and he's with Quinn Kesnick.
I want to go back 20 years, Alonzo. What is the biggest memory from that McDonald's All-American game?
Well, Billy Owens and I won the MVP award, and just the excitement of playing in front of, thousands of people, my first nationally televised game, it was an adrenaline rush for me. It was a lot of fun.
You're here because you're the captain of the McDonald's Advisory Council, which pairs veteran NBA players with stars of the future, counsels them business, life, and basketball. Why is that so important?
It's important to have mentors in these young guys' lives, and as the alumni of this particular game, it's hard to believe 20 years ago that I played in this game, but to be able to set an example at the same time, encourage these kids to make the right decisions, at the same time represent the alumni well as they progress in their future basketball careers.
You had the opportunity to talk to all 24 All-Americans earlier today. What did you emphasize?
One of the things I emphasize is that, hey, there is life after basketball. And it's important for us to think of that early enough so that we can start preparing for that. Each and one of these kids has a very bright future. But after basketball is over, then what? So it's important for them to continue their educational process so they can prepare themselves for the future. And I think McDonald's has done a tremendous job of putting together this advisory council and helping us encourage these kids to make the right decisions.
They've played about 10 minutes of basketball. What stands out?
Their athleticism, their energy, man. They're flying all over the place. It's something that I miss that I don't have anymore in these 38-year-old legs, but it's very exciting to watch.
Look forward to seeing you back on the court.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Bob, Alonzo Mourning.
All right, Quint, thanks very much. He's as intimidating as they come. And how about Tyreek Evans with the finish?
As you can tell by Quint's suit, he'll be starring in the Hyatt Dinner Theater. Guys and Dolls will be playing Nathan Detroit.
Well, there's Sky Masterson. Alonzo Mourning. Boy, was he an intimidating force or what?
You know what? You could play with one kidney in the NBA. I mean, that's a warrior.
And how about this? He looked just like Zeller when he was in high school. I'm surprised how thin he was. He really was very slight for as much of a star as he was.
Well, it's interesting. We're watching a future Georgetown big man. We've watched Roy Hibbert, another Georgetown big man, as he has graduated. His team just lost to Davidson. And Alonzo Mourning, one of the great threesome of Georgetown bigs. Patrick Ewing obviously being the first, he being the second, and Dikembe Mutombo being the third. What a magnificent trio that is.
A whole new group back in the game for the West.
Here's that Georgetown big man, and this is what he'll be doing next year. He's got to improve his consistency of his effort, and no one will get that out of him better than John Thompson III at Georgetown.
He's a smart young man, though. Talking to him earlier on today, wants to study psychology at Georgetown, and he was the winner of the 12th annual Morgan Wooten Award as the McDonald's Player of the Year, and that goes not only to a player that's a great basketball player, but also a young man that's has some academic achievements as well.
And is the irony lost on anyone but me that the best high school coach ever was named Wooten and the best college coach ever was named Wooden? That's pretty good, huh? One letter off. I just was thinking about it.
The irony was only lost on you. You are correct.
There's another one.
Oh. Shot clock violation as Malcolm Lee headed to UCLA.
Now that you never see.
Yeah, how
a
about
shot
that?
clock violation in the McDonald's All-Star game. I would say that's the first. Do we have a stat on that? We're going to go with it. Can we get a font? Can we get that on the screen? The first shot clock violation in the history of McDonald's All-American basketball game.
Samardo Samuels lost it on the way up. It stays with the East.
The East now has 14 second chance points already, and that obviously makes a big difference in their 39-28 lead at this point.
Samardo Samuels played at St. Benedict's in New Jersey, and there's a little tobacco road of high school basketball just outside of New York City. Where
Here we go, all coming back to Jersey again.
And St. Anthony's, well, they're all about a 15-minute drive away, and they're usually in the nationwide top 10. A finish inside by DeMar DeRozan. He's going to USC, and he'll go to the free throw line.
And that's 5 dimes for Mr. Jennings.
DeRozan, a special athlete. He's a guy who's improved his jump shot to become one of those top 2 or 3 guards from the state of California, and he will most likely replace O.J. Mayo in USC starting lineup.
Averaged 31 points and 9 rebounds a game at Compton High School his senior year. Evans fades away, way short. Brandon Jennings looking for assist number 6. Finds DeRozan. There it is.
You know, there's a tobacco road of basketball in Compton between Dominguez and Compton Centennial.
Let's start counting up the McDonald's All-Americans heading to Oklahoma State. Samardo Samuels fouled inside.
Like Boston College or Georgia, anything to brag about? Brandon Jennings, the real deal, from Compton to Oak Hill, now to Arizona.
Right side it goes to B.J. Mackey. A half leader. You give him a 10? 9-8. Oh, great feel. Up about 12. And the resounding climax.
Great feel. Kevin Garnett with one of the many flashbacks we'll be showing you tonight from the McDonald's High School All-American games of the past. It's a 39-32 lead for the East as we're back here at the Bradley Center.
And that was 1995, the year I graduated high school. I actually played in the what would be the 1B All-Star game, McDonald's the 1A, which was the Magic's Round Ball Classic. And that was an unbelievable class of high school players. You saw Chauncey Billups actually hurt his shoulder in that game. Stephon Marbury, Paul Pierce, Ron Mercer.
There's Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday just silky smooth. But I have to tell you about Kevin Garnett. You know, he was the first to start this straight out of high school to the pros. And growing up in Southern California, he was from South Carolina, played his last year of high school basketball at Farragut in Chicago with Ronnie Fields. But we had seen him he played the AAU circuit, not the AAU circuit, not the circuit that we played out in the West Coast. And so I hadn't really seen him. You know, he tried to take the SAT, took the SAT the day before the Magic's Round Ball Classic, his last time trying to get into school because he wanted to go play in college. And so he didn't make the practices, and the practices for any of these events are actually more competitive than the games. And he showed up the day of the game, and I'm telling you, from the time he first touched the basketball, it was pretty obvious. I'm talking about Pierce and Mercer and Chauncey Billups and Stephon Marbury and Sharif Abdul-Rahim. He was far and away the best player in the floor. He's a magnificent athlete.
And that's been borne out.
He had 30 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists that year in the All-Star game. Rosario, 1,000-point scorer at St. Anthony's.
And we can't talk about Rutgers anymore because we talked about him in the first 6 minutes.
1 of 2.
It just became like we started talking about what exit are you from? I mean, the Jets, and how about that new stadium?
135. Okay. Jennings a fadeaway from 3. The tap off the fingers of Singleton. He can't find the loose ball. Eventually it's knocked out of bounds by William Buford, who's going to Ohio State. And there's a look at Tyler Zeller. Now, he is going to put on some weight, you'd have to think, under Roy Williams at North Carolina, but everyone raves about his up and down ability.
Hey, man, you can't teach somebody how to run like he can. At that size, it just doesn't happen. And he's got great ball skills. He's got great hands and feet. Those are things you can't teach. The body will come.
All right, Malcolm Lee at the free throw line, guys. Now, he's from JW North High School in Riverside. He's one of the talented twosome going to UCLA. And he will be the next, let's say, Russell Westbrook. Just built like a perfect long defender. Doesn't have the body of Westbrook. Westbrook kind of under-recruited until really late in his high school career and has built up his body to now, as a sophomore, and only his first year getting big-time minutes, is a guy who has a great chance to be a lottery pick. He's that well thought of at the next level.
Also won the Farmers Student Athlete Award. In and out from deep for Chris Singleton. Jennings leaves it behind. Lee, the extra pass. And it's out of bounds, and it goes over to the east. Unable to control in the corner was DeMar DeRozan.
Jennings going with the high top fade. Said he started growing his hair in September. He had to cut it back.
Tough fade away and a wild shot thrown up by William Buford, and I'm not sure if I'll see that in Buckeye country next year, but then a turnover at midcourt as we check in with Quinn.
Brandon Jennings, the lid, he calls it his 80s style haircut modeled after Sam Perkins' favorite movie, House Party.
Oh,
actually brought in a hair guy from Chicago called Spoon to tighten it up. Doug, you're a product of the 80s, as I am, and Bob. But Jennings loves shopping for products from the 80s. Sneakers and clothes. He's kind of a throwback type guy.
Yeah, kind of more product of the 90s, I think. But yeah, I with the kid and play era, I asked him, I said, why didn't you go Gumby? Get the real Bobby Brown look going. That would just, I know they didn't have many Gumbies up in Vermont.
That was Whitney's guy, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'm hip.
But the Gumby haircut was you had to have your hair shaped like Gumby's head, where it's kind of slanted. He said he considered it, but he said, you know, it's national TV. You don't want to screw something up.
The ball tapped around, and eventually it's Georgetown star Greg Monroe that comes up with a loose one, and then
West has been very sloppy.
I was just going to say, you get tired, you get sloppy. I used to tell my kids that all the time, and we're seeing evidence of it right here.
Is that your excuse?
What? My excuse for what?
Well, you're tired.
Yeah, of course. That's it. I mean, it works in everything, not just basketball, Doug. Works in life. Okay. I'm a life coach now.
Elliot Williams hangs and hits. He is the lone McDonald's All-American heading to play for Mike Krzyzewski.
Oh, what a beautiful kid, huh? Just a nice kid.
Very impressive.
Likes to play chess. Asked him about signing with Duke. He said, you know, the thing that sealed the deal was I got to know Coach K, and Coach K is a funny, personable guy. To which of course, Bob ruined it. And said, wait till you throw the ball out of bounds in practice the first time.
Well, you know, the only guy in the game that really likes chess is going to be the guy that chooses Duke. So that's Elliot Williams.
Makes perfect sense.
He has the basketball.
This is also the first game he's worn those knee-length tights. So you hurt his knee a little bit. a couple weeks ago. Gonna get banged knee to knee.
I'm guessing it's more of a fashion statement. What do you say?
No, I'd like to stay warm.
Yeah,
Ice under the floor.
5 new players were coming in for the West, and just as those 5 players were coming on the floor, Woody Jackson, the head coach of the East, called a quick timeout. 44-37, the East has the lead, and ABC is your NBA destination Sunday afternoon. Gaining momentum from the longest winning streak of the year, Tracy McGrady and the Rockets have made their claim as contenders in the West. They take on the Spurs and Tim Duncan. Every game a must-win for both teams. The postseason is looming. NBA Sunday on ABC at 1 Eastern. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern with the GMC NBA Countdown.
By the way, Woody Jackson is really a great story. 32nd year as a basketball coach. He told me he gets up every morning at 4 o'clock. He's not only the basketball coach, he's the athletic director. He teaches courses. He leaves his house at 5 o'clock to get to school. He gets home at 9 o'clock every day. And it was neat. He brought his assistants with him, Albert Turner. And the commissioner, Albert Turner, told me to say hello to everybody in Marion, Indiana, Alabama. So from the commissioner, hello to Marion.
Farouk Aminu, high above the rim, can't get the finger roll to go, and it ends up with Tyreek Evans. Again, undecided, check that, pardon me, Iman Shumpert, and he'll be heading to Georgia Tech.
And take it one step further, Woody Jackson. 28 years and 17 years in the same place. My daddy always used to tell me, to have a good society, you need good cops and good teachers, and he's obviously one of those.
A 10-time Coach of the Year in Alabama, and has won 5 state championships, so it's not just that he shows up at 4 o'clock in the morning, obviously gets the job done as well.
And coached the first Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. He's very proud of that as well. Just a true gentleman and an astoundingly hard worker every single day. Gets up 4 o'clock, runs 6 miles, and then goes from there.
Well, speaking of Alabama, J. Michael Green is going to Alabama, going to play for Mark Gottfried, and they expect to get Ronald Steele back, plus Ronald Steele's brother, combo guard Andrew Steele. Tony Mitchell, also a nice little small forward they've signed. So the Crimson Tide rebuilding, although Richard Hendricks, their star center, announced today he's going to test the waters of the NBA draft.
At St. Jude Educational Institute, he averaged 29 points, 18 rebounds, and 7.5 blocks per game.
Just a big-time, long, athletic big man.
Drew, straight away. And Evans has the rebound. Tyreek Evans behind the back. Double dribble. Tyreek Evans was a 3,000-point scorer halfway through his senior year at American Christian Academy in Chester, Pennsylvania. How many points do you have to be scoring per game to score 3,000 midway through your senior year in high school?
Is that a rhetorical question, or do you have the answer to that?
34.1 points per game. Happens to be the answer. The East with a 9-point lead with 3:51 to go in the first half here at the McDonald's All-American game. High scoring as you would expect in the McDonald's High School All-American game here in the first half. And ESPN2's coverage of college basketball on the MasterCard NIT continues with 2 semifinal games on Tuesday as they will make their way to Madison Square Garden. The MasterCard NIT semifinals, ESPN2 Tuesday night. And we have co-coaches on the West bench. Tom Diener's been the head coach for 23 years and won 5 state championships at Harold Vincent High School. And his co-coach, another local product just to his right there, Jim Gosti, head coach at Rufus High School in Milwaukee. He's made 10 appearances in the Wisconsin State Championships and won 4 titles as well.
He has indeed, and this is a nice treat for both these guys, Milwaukee guys, or their whole lives, and getting to coach in the most prestigious high school game ever. It's a nice touch.
Sylvan Landisberg has his shot blocked. And Iman Shumpert with the basketball, heading to Georgia Tech. Launching from the corner and coming up way short was Scotty Hobson. Knocked away in the post. Nice Nice look-away pass by Shumpert, and an easy one at the other end for Willie Warren going to Oklahoma.
And Willie Warren will most likely join Blake Griffin. We assume Blake Griffin comes back one more year. Jeff Capel building a magnificent program with Warren out of Fort Worth. Blake Griffin, Taylor Griffin.
Is it true that he turned down the South Carolina job?
That is the rumor. The rumor is that that South Carolina came calling. He said thanks, but no thanks. I got Willie Warren and Blake Griffin. I'm good.
That's it. Larry Drew with that finish. How does he fit in at North Carolina next year? I guess there's some uncertainty as to who might be coming back.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You know, they've signed 3 McDonald's All-Americans. Plus, next year you have the Ware twins coming in from Modern Day High School in Orange County. Drew, a very solid player. Maybe not a great athlete, but a guy who has the tools to do just about everything on the basketball floor you want. A 4-year player, a good solid guard at the next level.
How about the drive by Tyreek Evans?
And by the way, the 3 Carolina guys that are going to join the program are the 51st, 2nd, and 3rd McDonald's All-Americans that have become Tar Heels since this game was initiated.
Well, also the difference, tonight we've got 3 Tar Heels in this game, but that's the most of any individual school. On ESPNU earlier with Debbie Antonelli, we did the girls' game. Rutgers and Tennessee each had 5 McDonald's All-Americans in the girls' game.
It should be noted that all of these things, at least in the men's game, are cyclical. You know, Carolina has had years where they've had 3. That last year they didn't sign anybody because they didn't need anybody. Right. You know, they had everybody coming back. This year is a lot of uncertainty. The assumption is that Lawson goes. The assumption is that Ellington will test the waters and that Tyler Hansbrough will probably do the same.
Nice stop and go on the baseline for Larry Drew. So there's a future Tar Heel scoring again.
Of course, his dad played at Missouri. Dad an assistant in the NBA. Very solid player, Taft High School.
Evans launched at one end, but then breaks up the outlet at the other.
I was going to say, it's hard for me to believe that you can shoot a 30-footer and then not get beat on the way back.
J. Michael Green with the follow, and the soon-to-be Alabama freshman with a chance for a 3-point play as the East has a 52-43 lead over the West in the McDonald's High School All-American game here at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee. We're glad that you can join us to watch the best high school basketball players in the nation. I'm Bob Wischusen with Doug Gottlieb and Tom Brennan. Quinn Kesnick on the sidelines as well.
Did Gottlieb's name go ahead of mine because he played in the B game in 1995? Is that why he gets higher billing?
We do it by age. We figure by the time we get to your name in the batting order, you will have woken up and caught up with us.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Hey, Willie Warren going to Oklahoma. There's another jumper.
Now, he played a little bit this year at Oak Hill and then came back home to Fort Worth in high school, and what an outstanding score. If there's a negative towards Willie, he is a bit of a shot nut, but it's because he has the ability to fill it up. I mean, he'd give you a 30 in a heartbeat.
Speaking of being a shot nut, Tyreek Evans does it again.
He has been crazy stuff. I mean, not just laying it in. Tremendous body control. Great touch.
Warren drives and scores once more.
Warren, probably not as big as the 6'4" he's listed at, but he is a bull in a china shop as far as his strength. He's a YouTube legend for dunking on Xavier Henry, one of the great players coming out next year in high school basketball. And he can put up, like I said, big numbers in a very short period of time.
Coming up at halftime, we'll have even more from our ESPNU studios. Lo Galindo and Adrian Branch will be standing by with some NIT highlights. Also highlights of the girls All-American game that took place here at the Bradley Center earlier. And we'll have some first-half pictures and statistics at the line. Ed Davis from Richmond also going to North Carolina. And obviously he's a different kind of player than Larry Drew. How does he fit into Roy Williams' plans?
Oh, very well. Runs the floor well. Blue collar on the boards. Talented scorer. By my estimation, he'd be the most ready to play of the 3 Tar Heels. Drew may play a bunch if Ty Lawson goes and Frazier coming back from the knee surgery. But I think Davis is the most ready to play. And that's good news considering they'll probably lose Tyler Hansbrough. He's an unbelievable production this year.
That brings us to halftime. So, coming into tonight's game, we said that we thought the talent was top-heavy towards the West. But at the half, it's the East squad with a lot of second-chance points. And they have a 6-point lead as they got out and ran. Kemba Walker with the finish. Some highlights for the West as well. Brandon Jennings off the backboard. Our score at the half, 6-point lead for the East. Now Lo Galindo in our SportsCenter U studio. 31st edition of the McDonald's All-American High School Basketball Game. We're at the Bradley Center here in Milwaukee, and it's the East. Maybe not quite as much talent as the West, but they've got the 6-point lead at halftime. Bob Wischusen here with Doug Gottlieb, Tom Brennan, Quinn Kesnick with us as well. And guys, oddly enough, highlights not hard to find. This evening, we're going to take a look at some of the best we saw in the first half now.
How about Tariq Evans is 11 minutes, 11 shots. That's a Pistol Pete Maravich pace that he's on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm an immensely talented offensive players, and we've seen that fully on display here in the first half. An up-down pace. I mean, obviously the West has been really sloppy with the basketball, but for the most part, you've seen bits of spectacular play from Brandon Jennings, who we talked about to start the game. Very first play, gets it, high screen roll, throws the alley-oop. So we've seen bits and pieces. Some of these guys, it's pretty hard to capture what makes them a special basketball player when it's simply going up and down.
And we, of course, like Rosario, don't we? He's our boy.
Let's take a look at some of those first half pictures. There's a New York native in Kemba Walker.
I like him, too.
Walker's been impressive. Brandon Jennings off the high screen roll to B.J. Mullins, and then to DeMar DeRozan. Little Compton to Compton, and then Tariq Evans, a guy who is never shy to put it up. Does have 2 assists.
Yes, he does.
And
by mistake.
Even a gun misfires every now and again.
Does it count as an assist if you toss up a shot and somebody gets the offensive rebound and puts it back in?
Depends how you're scoring at home.
Well, Tariq Evans, the one guy on this list. I guess Scotty Hopson at the bottom for the West, also in that category. There's one for the East and one for the West, still undecided about where they're going to play next year. According to Evans, it's still Villanova, Memphis, or Texas on his list. And Scotty Hopson, 6. Mississippi State, Kentucky, Louisville. You never know.
Brandon and I are just chatting there for a moment. He needs 7 more to break the record.
Instead, he'll throw up a 3, and Samardo Samuels heading to Louisville comes down with the loose ball.
And how about how he can check you when he wants to as well? Look at that defense. Tremendous.
Offensive foul. Rosario called for the push.
I think that's going to be a big question for Rosario. Does he want to be at 6'1.5", 6'2"? Can he be a true point? And this is the big test for Brandon Jennings. Will he buy in and play defense? The big question for Arizona basketball moving forward to the future. I don't care if Bayless comes back or Buttinger comes back. That national championship team with Miles Simon and Mike Bibby and Bennett Davidson and Dickerson, that team defended. And the big question for Arizona moving forward, when are they going to get back in the defensive stance and win games in the defensive end, not try and just outscore people? That's what I'm talking about, fellas. I mean, Jordan Hill's becoming a very talented big player. Nick Wise went healthy. A nice little option. They lose Juwan McClellan. They also bring in Jeff Withey, who's a talented 6'9" face-up post. I mean, they have guys with the complete skill set. The big question with Arizona is, will they defend for Luke in one of his last seasons?
Keeping in the Pac-10, Drew Holiday with the lay-in. Of course, he's heading to UCLA.
I believe Holiday to be the best basketball player from the state of California since maybe Baron Davis. I mean,
wow.
I watched a game at Tournament of Champions when they lost to J. Sarah High School, but he had 39 and 12, and it was effortless. And I watched it with Ben Howland, and every time he'd do something, I'd look over at Ben. He said, "Yeah, he's really that good."
Jennings the hit ahead. Holiday can't save it.
And just a complete skill set as a player. I believe he can play the point. A talented kid and a good kid as well. Nice little combination.
Samuels can't get it to go, and there's Greg Monroe, the Morgan Wooten Player of the Year, with the rebound inside going to Georgetown, and he's fouled by Chris Singleton.
And I mean, you look at Mourning in the highlight when he was a baby and was getting ready to go to Georgetown. You look at the difference in bodies, and this kid Monroe is well advanced past the stage that Alonzo was.
Catch in traffic, missing the dunk inside Mullins. The follow won't go. And Samuels rips away the rebound.
Nice pass.
Down the lane and throwing it down, William Buford, and he's heading to Ohio State.
And Ohio State right now beating Dayton at home over in the Schottenstein Center in the NIT. Could see a rematch of last year's national championship game, albeit in the NIT final.
You're right.
Stepping on the sideline, Elliott Williams.
You know, why would you call that an all-star game?
What, you mean like the rules? Like you can't step out of bounds?
That's not like a rule.
Well, here's Elliott Williams with a beautiful pass to Buford.
Monroe will go to the free throw line.
That's the third potential assist that was missed because of a missed layup.
See, I wish you broadcast my games in college. That's a potential assist blown there.
He reminds me of you, except he's left-handed.
And he can shoot.
Yeah, and he's really quick. And he's a really good defender. And I guess he doesn't remind me of you at all. Now that I think about it.
You know what I was thinking? We're watching some of these guys take shots, and we're watching how loose TB likes them to be with the rules. And it appears shocking to me that he lost 50 games in his first 2 years at Vermont.
Yeah. Even more shocking, it was mostly coaching.
Brandon Jennings looking for another assist and a breakup. What a play by Elliott Williams, and now Rosario with some showtime. And then Rosario a steal, finds Williams, and he's fouled hard.
And you know the best thing about Rosario, you guys talked about how much he's won in high school. I mean, you played for a winning program, and when you're going to turn around the prospects up Rutgers, as he has kind of taken on himself, you have to start investing in a culture of winning. And he came from a culture of elite winning in high school.
His high school was the #1 team in the country, coached by Bob Hurley. The #2 team in the country was St. Benedict's, coached by Danny Hurley, Bob's son. That's really impressive.
St. Anthony's
won they're both from New Jersey.
That's right. Well, they won the New Jersey Tournament of Champions, which is all the sections, and eventually they play a little tournament. And Rosario's St. Anthony's team beat the second-place team by 35. So they were the dominant team in the state.
6 Division I scholarship players on that team.
Bats it up and down as we check in with Quinn.
Bob, the thing that stands out about Rosario this week, you watch him through all the drills, all the scrimmages. The engine's always on. I mean, this is a kid that goes 100% everything he does, offense, defense. He's got a lot of pride in the Rutgers program already. He wants to, be the Prince of New Jersey and be in charge of the whole resurrection of that program.
Nice outlet.
Lee runs it down. And Quint, you're right. That is front page news on the sports section in the Northeast. And there's Rosario with a takeaway from Malcolm Lee.
Good pitch ahead.
Buford down the lane, flips it up and in. William Buford with another bucket. He's been playing basketball since he was 3 years old. Monroe bounces one. And looking for an assist inside was Brandon Jennings as he gave it up to Mullins. So B.J. Mullins will go to the free throw line. Another Ohio State product.
Yeah, Ohio State's going to be very good, but their future may ride on the point guard play of Anthony Crater, who initially would have been considered for this game. Isn't thought of maybe in the same light as some of the other Ohio State signees late in his high school career. But, considering what they have to replace with Jamar Butler, who, by many accounts, outside of DJ White, might have been the most important player to his team in the Big Ten. His production at the end of the year off that high ball screen, as good as Mullins is going to be, Crater may be the key factor as to whether Ohio State not just gets back in the NCAA tournament, but makes a run. Because they're going to have all the talent, the Diebler at the other positions, and Costa Koufos and B.J. Mullins.
Was Ohio State one of the first schools that would leap to mind as having 2 McDonald's All-Americans?
Yeah, they're one of the 5-6 premier programs, I think, in the country.
Really?
Been historically, yeah. What'd you say?
No, I wouldn't say historically. I would say they are putting themselves in that elite class. 5 or 6, you're talking about Kansas, Kentucky, Indiana, UCLA, Duke, and Carolina.
Okay, fair enough.
And then I'd say Ohio State's that next level down. But what happens is kids, they're just like leagues are copycat leagues. Kids are copycats. Whereas, you see Texas in on, both of our unsigned players. And Texas can get in on anybody. Why? Because Kevin Durant went to Texas. And because Daniel Gibson and DJ Augustine and guys who have been great college players and have gotten out early and gone to the pros. Just like Ohio State and B.J. Mullins, who doesn't want to be the next Greg Oden? What point guard doesn't want to be the next Mike Conley? And that's the easiest sale in the book when you're that model.
Yeah, but I still think that Ohio State, as you said, not only on that notch, a level down. I'm not sure if you mentioned UConn, if you mentioned Florida. I know there are the legendary programs at the top of the food chain, but I think they have been joined by some other programs that I'm not totally sure if Ohio State is up there with those other programs yet.
My argument would be that there's so many good players in Ohio. That's why.
There's also 13 Division I basketball teams.
Yeah, but Ohio State's the first one.
No, I know, but I think they're...
Throw down by B.J. Mullins, speaking of Ohio State.
Thank you, B.J.
No, I would agree with the premise that historically they're not on that level.
Jennings off the backboard and sets up Drew Holiday. Well, there's Arizona to
there were four blown assists so far this half for Jennings. He finally got one.
But I mean, you wouldn't say Florida traditionally a basketball-rich power, yet they had a couple McDonald's All-Americans. They had 5 players drafted last year. Cyclical.
Another alley-oop. This one finished again by Mullins.
This is not a strong group in for the East. Without a true point guard, no one back defensively.
Down the lane, though, the C's part for Elliott Williams. I don't know if they're going to part like that when he plays at the Dean Dome. Rosario with the breakup and the takeaway. And the finish.
I'm just saying.
Rosario now with 11. 5 players set to check in for the West. Next time out. Holiday flips up a wild left-handed shot and it goes.
Pretty move.
Set up, Ben Howland's going to draw it up.
He has been impressive. Yes, indeed. You know what? You get guys like that, you don't have to draw much of.
Samuels blocked inside, a takeaway by Mullins. Rosario almost took it back again. Here's Malcolm Lee, also going to UCLA. Finishing off the window is Jennings. Rosario reverses. This is open gym now.
It's not even a good open gym.
We'll step aside.
Give him a rest.
It's like 10 new players are coming on when we come back here to Milwaukee. One of the highlight assists for Brandon Jennings, finished by Drew Holiday.
Hold on here, guys. Well,
Ryan on the floor gets it from Adam, and Kobe just sends it in. I think he may be a little bit better.
he's trying to prove you right. And that's why he's such a success.
One of the greats of the NBA, and Kobe Bryant playing back in his McDonald's High School All-American game. And ABC is your NBA destination Sunday afternoon, gaining momentum from that long winning streak. Tracy McGrady and the Rockets take on their interstate rivals. It's the Rockets and the Spurs. Every game a must-win for both teams. NBA Sunday on ABC at 1 Eastern. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern with the GMC NBA Countdown.
You know, it's interesting. You look at so many NBA players that were McDonald's All-Americans. Then there are others. Then there are the Tim Duncans of the world. Then there are the guys who come from overseas, the Manu Ginobilis, the Tony Parkers of the world.
Yes, sir.
The landscape has changed as far as the world becoming a major part of the NBA draft and the NBA landscape.
Globalization, my friend. The Red Sox are in Tokyo today.
And 10 new players on the floor as we resume the East with a 7-point lead here in the 2008 McDonald's All-American game. And Tyreke Evans again goes to the basket and draws the foul.
Well, he can get to the rim, I will tell you that.
Michael Dunnigan going to Oregon called for the foul, and we don't know where Tyreke Evans was going.
We do not. Villanova's of choice. Memphis, I guess. You mentioned Texas, Doug?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, right?
Louisville.
What's your best guess?
My best guess is he'll leave Philadelphia, so I say Louisville, Tennessee, or Texas.
Memphis has got a great opportunity. You look at what Coach Cal has been able to do this year with Derrick Rose. He's been to 2 straight Elite Eights. He's in a Sweet 16. Great chance to play in an NBA city.
Watching Evans, do you think his style fits Memphis about as well as any team on his list?
I actually think his style might fit Villanova because he does so many things off the bounce, and they are the master of the dribble drive. But look, if you can play, I mean, all of those programs have the ability to promote superstars and young superstars. Texas has done it. Memphis has done it. They've had guys leave early for the pros. Nova has done it for the most part. Nova would, I think, again, fit his game quite well.
I'll tell you what, Kemba Walker has blown me away in this game. And in practices, I was not that impressed, but boy, once the game started, he has really been good.
He is on his way to play for Jim Calhoun at UConn from the corner, a miss. Evans the rebound, and the hit ahead to Walker.
I got to tell you, Larry Drew, the first, who's not very happy with Larry Drew, the second there. Shoots a corner jump shot, doesn't get back. Coach's son. LD2. Got to get back.
Luke Babbitt, a pull-up. A little extra delay and missed everything. On the sideline was Evans. Clearly a call that Tom Brennan disagrees with.
We're in an all-star game. If they knock us over, then call it. Otherwise, let them play. Plus, that just stops the clock, which we don't need.
If it rattles around the rim, it doesn't go in. Close enough. 2 points. The new Brennan rule.
See, you're misconstruing.
And the throwdown. Michael Dunnigan heading to Oregon with the finish. But the look from Willie Warren heading to Oklahoma.
And Dunnigan, part of a dynamic trio of Chicago products, headed to Eugene to play for Ernie Kent. Matthew Humphrey. And Josh Criddle as well. So power forward.
Sylvan Landisberg will be playing for Dave Lato at Virginia. He's side of the backboard. What a catch.
Catch is right.
And Dunnigan with the finish. Well, there's Larry Drew redeeming himself.
Dunnigan is impressive, right? You talk about a group of 5 for Oregon.
Yeah. Big body. They've done a nice job of recruiting in the Midwest. Malik Harrison now graduating from Detroit.
Off the window is Tyler Zeller.
Zeller's skilled. I mean, he really runs the floor well, and obviously if you're going to play in Carolina, you might want to be able to run the floor since they do it as well as anybody.
And he shot that left-handed. He's a righty.
Drew from 3. Knocks it down.
That's what he does right there.
He's a very solid, consistent, fundamentally sound basketball player. Won the three-point shootout the other night.
He's also got a 3.5 GPA in all honors classes at Howard Taft High School in LA. It's not fair when you're talented and smart.
Yeah, that is fair.
Nice little floating shot from Ed Davis, who's going to be a collegiate teammate of Larry Drew at North Carolina. And there's Kemba Walker with the rebounds.
Up high to get it.
And Jim Calhoun has to like seeing that. Finds Zeller underneath. Well, here's another look at Larry Drew as we go to break, and we'll be talking to his dad when we come back.
And his dad, the former Missouri Tiger, has to love how the future Tar Heel playing this evening.
All this long.
A moment ago, we talked about Larry Drew's proficiency from 3. He knocked one down, and he showed his skills off a couple of nights ago in the Powerade Jam Fest, winning the boys' 3-point competition. And as always, the money ball.
And he made a lot late to win it, which was really impressive.
Well, there's something to be said for bloodlines, and Quint Kesnick has more on exactly that.
Yes, this is the proud father of Larry Drew. Larry Drew, walking in here tonight, describe the feeling of pride as a dad.
Well, I'm very excited for him. You know, he put in a lot of work to get to this point. I think for all these young men who've been honored to be picked as McDonald's All-Americans, it's just a tremendous honor, and I'm really happy for Larry.
Larry's been coming to practices. You're an assistant coach in the NBA for the last 15 years. Larry's been coming out, meeting guys like Kobe, Byron Scott, and Magic. When did you realize that he had a little extra special talent?
Well, you know, it started at an early age. You know, as a dad, as a coach, when you start working with your kids, you start looking for a lot of the instinctive things, and his instincts kicked in at a pretty early age, and I knew then and there that you know, he had a chance to really be something special.
How do you balance being a coach and being a dad, and keeping it in the right perspective?
Well, he knows with me, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. You know, with me in Atlanta, he in LA, I still get to watch his games on tape, and I get to criticize him, and he's very receptive to criticism, and we just made it work.
As these athletes now take the next step into college, what's the biggest obstacle they face their first year in college?
Well, just getting adjusted to the whole college life. Being a student, being an athlete, you have to find that fine balance. And you know, anytime you go away from home as he is, it's you know, it's going to be a little different. And it's just an adjustment he had to make.
Last question. I'm not going to put you on the clock. Atlanta Hawks with the first pick. Is there anyone here that kind of stands out? Looking forward to the NBA.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of talent here. A lot lot of talent here. I like the big kid, Samardo Samuels. Obviously, I like my son. I like the Jennings kid. I think all these kids have an opportunity to move to that next level.
Larry Drew, thanks. Proud father tonight, Bob.
All right, Quinn, he certainly should be. His son's heading to play for Roy Williams, and maybe for more than a year, maybe not in North Carolina.
And there are several sons of former NBA players. Michael Thompson's son headed to Washington State. Aldo Woolridge's son headed to play for Bruce Pearl at Tennessee. Excuse me, Orlando Woolridge's son, Ronaldo, headed to play for Bruce Pearl in Tennessee.
Kemba Walker with the basketball, a Bronx native, went to Rice High School.
The Rail Splitters.
That's Lincoln.
Yes. That's Lincoln?
Yes.
My bad.
Stephon Marbury and Sebastian Telfair's alma mater.
So what's Rice?
It's Rice High School. He actually just lost to Sylvan Landisberg's Holy Cross team in the Catholic League playoffs a couple of weeks ago. Oh, nice pass. And the return is Warren is able to finish off a play he set up, and then at the other end, quickly Ed Davis throws it down. And a quick 20-second timeout called by Woody Jackson on the East bench. So it's a 4-point lead for the East. Are you surprised that the West hasn't proven to be kind of what we talked about at the start, maybe distancing themselves, and thought maybe the cream might rise to the top? Not so yet.
Well, it appears now it's a 4-point game, but 8 minutes to go. I think the biggest difference has been the backboard play on the offensive backboard. The East has gotten so many second chance points, and that's just been the difference so far.
ESPN2's coverage of college basketball and the MasterCard NIT continues with 2 semifinal games on Tuesdays. The NIT will be down to the Final Four, and they will be at Madison Square Garden. The MasterCard NIT, the semifinals on ESPN2 Tuesday night beginning at 7 Eastern.
How about Ole Miss going into Virginia Tech?
That's impressive.
Impressive. And I'll tell you what, the job that Billy Donovan has done with that young crew laying down the law before the NITs. I don't know if I want to coach these guys. I don't want you wearing Florida gear. I have to tell you, the most damaging thing is not dressing in the locker room. If you're a college basketball player and your coach says you can't wear any of our gear, that's all you live in college.
Call. That'll put Scotty Hopson at the free throw line. And, of course, he is, along with Tyreek Evans, one of the 2 McDonald's All-Americans that's still undecided about where he's going to play collegiately.
Originally committed to Mississippi State, since reopened the recruiting process. And Tennessee also very much in there. Louisville, Rick Pitino's son, gotten a chance to see him a ton.
Still lists Mississippi State as a possible destination. Would that surprise you if you kind of signed the original letter of intent or whatever, and then and then head there?
No,
would that be surprising?
No, it would be surprising based on what we've heard this week, but would be surprising based on the fact that he originally committed there. Matter of fact, Kentucky was standoffish because he wasn't willing to come out and say until recently that he was completely opening up the recruiting process. But he is going to take 4 more visits.
There is Hopson drawing the foul with 7:41 to go in regulation time. It's a close one between the East and the West, but this week here in Milwaukee is certainly not all about basketball. And the players in the McDonald's All-American game learned exactly that. We'll explain when we come back. The McDonald's High School All-American game here at the Bradley Center in Milwaukee, and this game raises net proceeds that go to a very special place, and it was a place that the players saw firsthand this week at the local Ronald McDonald House here in Milwaukee. They signed autographs and lifted more than just the spirits of the children that they visited. As one player said, putting a smile on their faces made me realize what this is all about. And proceeds from tonight's game will benefit Ronald McDonald House Charities of Eastern Wisconsin and its Ronald McDonald House program. And with more on exactly that, here's Quinn.
Thanks, Bob. We are joined by Marty Coyne, the president and CEO of the Ronald McDonald House Charities. How does this event benefit the local Ronald McDonald House here in Milwaukee?
All the proceeds from the event tonight will go to the Ronald McDonald House here in Milwaukee. Tonight we expect to raise over $600,000 for this house. This house is full every night, so the money that is raised will help us build better bedrooms and bigger bedrooms for the future.
Describe the impact earlier this week when the All-Americans took a trip to that house.
Just think of the worst day of your life and multiply it by 1,000. That's what the families are going through when they stay at a Ronald McDonald House. When these athletes walked in and just said hello and hugged them and gave them a little hope, it meant the world to them.
Thanks, Marty. Back to you, Bob.
Quint, thank you. And that brings it into focus.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. These kids who have been charmed by the basketball gods need to count their blessings from the real one. And when you go to a Ronald McDonald House, and as he said, you see the pain and suffering that people go through. I'm involved with this back in Burlington myself. It's just heartbreaking. And these kids have to understand how lucky and fortunate they are, and it could all turn in a moment.
Yeah, as a player at Oklahoma State, he became friends with a kid who was going through cancer treatments, and he had to go and, you know, when you get chemo, he'd stay the night before and sometimes the night of. At a Ronald McDonald House in Oklahoma City. It's incredibly brave for boys and girls in those places.
Samardo Samuels double team. Gets caught and then gets blocked. Out of bounds off Samuels after Michael Dunnigan got the initial rejection.
And Samuels going to get a chance to play right away for Louisville as their character. We expect to test the waters of the NBA draft. David Padgett, Juan Palacios also gone due to graduation. And he's a very, very talented youngster. Just started playing basketball at the age of 13. So he's got a lot to learn, but a ton of skill down around that basket.
He does, and big and strong. Great body already.
A brand new fivesome on the floor for the West. The hit ahead.
Nice.
Green throws it down.
What a pass by Kemba Walker.
Kemba Walker only began playing basketball at 12 years old, and he'll be going to UConn.
He was a dancer before that.
Yeah, I saw that. A lot of Renaissance men in this game.
Well, you know, most
Chess players, piano players.
UConn gets those highly touted guards, A.J. Price and Walker.
There's Walker again.
Of course, Talik Brown.
Yeah. He's been so impressive tonight. He really has.
You know what impressed me talking to Kemba Walker? I asked him why UConn. And he said, Coach Calhoun didn't tell me what I thought or what he thought I wanted to hear. He told me straight out, you'll have to work for everything you get at UConn. And that's actually what I wanted to hear. I wanted to be told that I needed to work hard and that it wouldn't all be handed to me when I get there. As Holiday throws it down.
Well, I mean, and that's every coach has a different recruiting style. And his style, to tell you the truth, the other thing he does is brings you into his office and says, just look at my wall.
Yeah, there you go.
And on his wall, he's got Ray Allen, and on his wall, he's got Rip Hamilton, and on his wall, he's, you know, you name it. Look at the talent that's Ben Gordon.
Oh, there's another assist. The finish.
No, there's not.
Oh, Brandon Jennings called for an offensive foul.
Was that a charge after a pass in an All-Star game?
Yeah, they should let that go, right?
No, they should not let that go. That's a great play. Oh, that's a great play. That's basketball.
The guy's trying for the record.
So? That's basketball. That's an actual basketball play.
This is like
We've seen a shot clock violation, and not just an offensive foul, but an offensive foul after a pass. 2 firsts in McDonald's All-American play.
I've seen soccer games that weren't this spread out.
The record's 13 set by Jacques Vaughn, and Brandon Jennings has not only had 8 assists, but we've actually tabulated that there have been 5 should have been assists. If they had all been finished right now, he would have the record, or at least tied for it.
Right, if he didn't step on the line, he wouldn't be out of bounds.
All right, Jersey boys, Jacques Vaughn, what high school?
Jacques Vaughn?
Yeah, John Muir High School in Pasadena, California, same high school that produced Stacey Ogden.
A follow off the Rosario miss by Tyreek Evans.
He just finds a way to score, doesn't he, Evans? One of those guys. You see why he got 3,000 points. Just always around the ball.
The reverse won't go from DeMar DeRozan. And here comes Evans again.
He's pulling here. He's pulling.
He is not shy, and he finishes.
You ought to go back the other end and get ready for defense. minutes. It's my turn.
Drew Holiday for 3.
Shocking that he would consider Texas. They had a guy that could score a little bit last year.
Oh, big turnover right there.
Nice hands by Drew Holiday to break up.
Got away with it.
And Jennings hands it off and gets maybe his easy assist of the night as Willie Warren dumps it in. Evans,
look at this.
Banks it in. What's the foul?
Oh, my goodness. Showtime at the Apollo.
And he can't teach talent. This kid has all the skill.
Look at this. I mean, there's no way.
Little shove. Something tells me that was learned on the streets in Chester, PA. Same hometown as who?
Jameer Nelson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Bo Ryan.
That's the other one.
There you go.
Speaking of dancers, and the ball comes back to the state of Wisconsin.
That's it. There you go.
He was the Pennsylvania Player of the Year this past season. And we'll find out in about 2.5 weeks where he's going to play in college as Jennings sends one up long distance. And who's got the rebound? Tyreek Evans. Nice pass. And Davis is fouled. So he'll go to the free throw line. And it's Greg Monroe called for the foul. And Greg Monroe has not put on the show tonight that maybe we expected he would.
Yeah, it's tough for big guys in a game like this ordinarily. You know, you really got to get, you got to be in the right place at the right time. And this is obviously a guard-oriented game, as we can tell by Evans. And Kemba Walker and Jennings. Yeah, those kids are all just fantastic, but they're not looking to dump it into the post.
Honestly, it's hard to appreciate a lot of guys that will look better in a true basketball
you're
setting.
absolutely right. But it's fun, though.
No,
fun to watch him.
1 of 2 at the line for Ed Davis, who's an All-Metro Richmond selection since his freshman year at Benedictine. And he'll be going to North Carolina. Fade away, comes up short for DeRozan. Evans out of a double team and a timeout.
You know why?
Side by Woody Jackson.
You know why? Because he thought he was going to step on the line. That's why he called a timeout.
Well, we're going to take a look coming up at some of the highlights of the day. And if you two were to now kind of think about who's most impressed you, I mean, maybe even players that you didn't expect to be as impressed by coming into tonight as you have been.
Well, I jumped right away on Kemba Walker. As I said, I watched him play the last 3 days. You know, he was good, he was solid, but he wasn't spectacular. Tonight, he's been spectacular.
And it's kind of interesting looking fast forwarding to look at next year UConn. What happens with Hasheem Thabeet? Does he declare for the NBA draft? A.J. Price, who had a magnificent season for the Huskies, leading them to the NCAA tournament, tears his knee and sticks. Stanley Robinson, a very talented 6'8" wing. Does he test the water of the NBA draft? If he doesn't, and Thabeet comes back and you add Kemba Walker, and boy, once again, the Huskies loaded, and now they have 2 point guards as A.J. Price gets healthy. Good defense by Drew Holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's right back to Tyreek Evans. He's got his dribble back.
Yeah,
Here we go.
He is trying one. Oh, good feed.
Rosario from the corner. Got it.
That is a big bucket in this game. 11-point lead.
Willie Warren on the baseline. Hands it off, and DeRozan, who's had a frustrating night. The future Trojan has not gotten on track, but there have been plenty of highlight-worthy plays, and we'll take a look at our plays of the game when we return. Brandon Jennings certainly involved in plenty of them, and there's Kemba Walker. He's put on a show.
Sure has.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the McDonald's Boys High School All-American Game is brought to you by McDonald's and in part by K-Swiss.
Welcome back to the Bradley Center here in Milwaukee. The McDonald's High School All-American game with 3 minutes and 16 seconds to go. Still some time for further highlights, as you would imagine. When you get the best high school basketball players in the nation together, they're going to give you a few highlight plays.
Brandon Jennings to B.J. Mullins and Mr. Rosario. Kemba Walker. Point guards aren't supposed to dunk on others.
Probably the play of the night there as Jennings left it on the backboard.
How about an interesting stat we got here? The North Carolina players have 24 points. The UCLA players have 15. Ohio State 18. And the two guys undecided, 31.
Pretty good.
They got the most to prove.
And here's one from the school of undecided. Tyreke Evans.
Give it up, Tariq. Give it up.
Oh, chance.
Or fire it.
Back tap. Hey, look who's got it. Tyreke Evans. I bet he shoots. And a chance for a three-point play? Yes.
Now he got a charge, I think.
An offensive foul.
Now his ball handling display was offensive. Now Evans is a magnificent talent. It's going to have to learn to use that left hand.
Yeah, and learn to pass the ball a little bit. I mean, you're standing around watching them. You know, it's fun for us. It's not fun if you're the other four guys. That's for sure.
Samardo Samuels back on, replacing Chris Singleton.
And I think there is a skill to coaching that type of player. You know, I think so often a coach will get criticized, well, you know, he just goes and gets the best players in the country. You know what? Getting those guys to play within a system, considering they'll be there for a short period of time, it's difficult to do. Managing egos and coaching egos is just as difficult as the X's and O's themselves.
The lead at single digits for the East. And Evans throws it away right off the fingertips of Rosario. Malcolm Lee, heading to UCLA, has come back on for the West.
Lee's going to have to put on some weight. Probably needs a position. There's a couple guys in this game that need to find a position. Lee is one of those guys, but his length and speed and quickness will allow him to jump right in with Ben Howland's team and be a great defender. And at UCLA, if you don't play defense, you ain't playing.
And now Tyreke Evans ain't playing, as he is on the bench, replaced by Kemba Walker with 2 minutes and 18 seconds to go. And Jennings takes it himself, rejected by JaMychal Green, and an offensive foul called.
I'm coming around to your boy. I'm coming around to your boy Rosario.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, defensively, Kemba Walker forcing Brandon Jennings right. He wants to go left. Rosario sliding over, taking the charge.
Walker, nice look underneath, and Rosario is going to be credited with 2 as DeMar DeRozan is called for goaltending. And right now we're about 2 minutes and 7 seconds away from SportsCenter. Again, SportsCenter will follow the McDonald's All-American game here on ESPN in just a moment.
And the West squad going with the Mighty Mites. I believe DeMar DeRozan at 6'5" or so is the tallest player on the floor.
Jennings might try to take the game over now. Pretty good job of it.
Connects on a 3 and makes it an 8-point game with 2 minutes to go. And then a near breakup at midcourt. We've enjoyed our time the past couple of days here in Milwaukee. I would say no one more so than Tom Brennan.
You know what? Milwaukee reminds me of Paris.
Really?
Yeah. You got the Seine River, but you got the river in there, and the courthouse looks like the Louvre, and just really the architecture beautiful here. And I've never been to Paris, but I saw The Sopranos when Tony sent his wife over there. So
I've never been to Paris, but Milwaukee reminds me.
Jennings fades away from 3 and rattles it home.
Did have 63 in a high school game this year, boys.
I think he's giving up on the assist record.
As our man Sonny Hill, who's on press row, used to say to Brent Musburger, we got a ball game, Brent.
Yes. You know, Brandon Jennings, his last 2 years, has gone to the Rucker and dominated as they brought in the 24 best high school basketball players. He made a street legend name for himself. Out of L.A. to Oak Hill to the Rucker. This kid has seen it all.
How about Doug said to him today, was asking him about a certain player, and the kid, and Doug said, is he good? And Jennings says he's real good. And Doug said, as good as you? He said, oh, no, he's not as good as me.
My type of guy.
Kemba Walker fouled in the backcourt by Willie Warren.
Now, Warren's a talent, boy. And I'll tell you what, with you combine the defense that Oklahoma played late in the year, Blake Griffin, Taylor Griffin, the grittiness inside, whew, Oklahoma's going to be good next year.
J. Michael Green heads to the bench, and Tyreek Evans comes back on for the East, and here's Evans at midcourt. And he's fouled. Malcolm Lee called for the foul with 1:12 to go. That's his second. You're allowed 6 fouls in the McDonald's games.
And they're not how many team fouls do they have? They're not shooting 1-on-1 here, huh? Only 5?
Something tells me Mr. Evans will find his way to the free throw line before this thing is done.
Nice behind the back feed and the throwdown by Elliott Williams. How about the pass?
Beautiful pass. Nice catch by Williams. Spectacular, springy athlete.
Jennings comes up short.
And again, Kemba Walker.
With Jennings on his hip the whole way.
Now, you're not taking the ball from a New York City guard. Yeah. Ain't happening.
40 seconds to go. Rosario from the corner for 3. Samuels the offensive rebound, and he is hammered inside by Malcolm Lee. Let's go back to the behind-the-back pass.
Yeah, beautiful touch.
Samardo Samuels with the delivery.
And really, it was the best way to get it to him. You know, the defender kind of went up on his left side, and he just dropped it down behind his right hand and laid it out there perfectly.
See, that's why I could have played for you.
Why?
The coach, it was the best way to get it to him.
Yeah, you know, I try to keep it simple.
The East with 18 offensive rebounds tonight, only 9 for the West. Samuels has been a big part of that, and he'll be at Louisville next year with Rick Pitino. His high school coach, as you mentioned earlier, Danny Hurley.
Yes.
The son, one of the 2 famous basketball sons, of course, of Bob Hurley Sr., played for his dad at St. Anthony's and now is the head coach at St. Benedict's, about 10 minutes up the road. The follow by Malcolm Lee, heading to UCLA with 25 seconds to go, and Sports Center is only moments away. Willie Warren pulls up for 3.
Warren with 24. You know, a quiet 24?
That is a very quiet 24. Who's the MVP, boys?
There's a pocket picking by Drew Holiday, and the lead for Jennings. So those 2 looked up for that exact play earlier in the game, except it was Jennings going off the backboard to Holiday.
I would say, if it was me, it would be Rosario. Or maybe Kemba Walker.
Tyreek Evans has officially been named the MVP of the McDonald's All-American game. 107-102 the final, the East over the West. And there were some highlight plays made by some tremendous players tonight.
Tyreek Evans, the MVP, with the philosophy, you can't score if you don't have the ball.
And Brandon Jennings, impressive, as were all the McDonald's All-American. The athletic ability and the talent just flows from this court.
A lot of fun being here tonight. I would like to go to Miami, who's ever listening back in Bristol.
Coming up next on ESPN at Sports Center, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Tom Brennan, Doug Gottlieb, and Quint Kesnick, I'm Bob Wischusen, saying good night from Milwaukee. Sports Center is next.